Hello, hello. Welcome back to Keys and Gears. And we are here for part 5 of our buyer process here in Texas. And part 5. So what are we going to talk about? Well, we are now under contract. That means that all parties are in agreement. And essentially, there's a bunch of things going on. And a big chunk of it is Mark in the background with his team
I wouldn't
pushing buttons and making
right?
things happen.
Yeah.
On the immediate side, for us, as part of the buyer, the actual home part of the team, I guess, we are setting up for a home inspection. Which think of a home inspector as like a general physician.
Right.
And then based on how that house felt, I might go ahead and have a foundation specialist come out and evaluate. Depending on the age, we might go ahead and have a plumbing scope done.
Right.
Another episode, perhaps, what the plumbing scope is. But that's what's going on, as well as delivering of earnest money and option fees, which are some of those blanks we talked about in the 1 to 4 in episode 4, in part 4.
Part 4.
So you can look for those too for the rest of that.
Yeah.
But outside of those monies going on, you're working your magic in the back for the rest of the money.
Yeah. So I compare it to flying an airplane. So Bess and I are co-captains of your airplane. So you're basically on a small little jet, and we're flying to get you the keys, right? So we are doing different things at different times on both sides of this equation. The gears are now moving. We're turning on our machines. The gears are now in motion for you to actually get the keys. So part of that is my half of the equation, the finance side. We really start moving those files into what's called underwriting. And the underwriter is like an investigator. The underwriter's job, they work for the bank, for the lender that actually gives you the money. Their job as an underwriter is to find a reason not to lend you the money. That's the whole purpose. Their fiduciary duty, which means they're reliable, they are responsible for protecting the lender, the person, the people with the money.
So not the buyers.
Not the buyer. They
Not
don't
the
work for
buyers
you.
with the
They don't work for
dreams.
me. They don't work for Bess. They don't work for the seller. They work for the bank. Whoever that bank is that ends up giving you the money, that's who they work for. So they are investigators. So they're going to look at every piece of document, everything that you give to them in the file, and make sure that you fit into what's called guidelines. Backtrack. The bank gets money from investors and lends that money out to you. These investors have certain guidelines, certain laws, so to speak, that they want you to follow. And if you as a buyer do not fit into those guidelines, we have to find other loan products for you to fit into. And that's a lot of times people say that you have to fit into this box, right? And there's all kinds of boxes. Different investors have different boxes. For different scenarios. For your scenario, there's going to be a lender probably out there that you fit into their box. And so my job and my processing team, our job is to present this file, these documents, in such a way that the underwriter just rubber stamps your file. That means you have no long-winded financing back and forth with the underwriter. We try to make it as clean as possible, because as clean as possible means less hassle for you.
So I'm hearing you are their ambassador.
Right.
You are their face.
Right. I
to
present.
the lender. This is why Mr. and Mrs. Smith is
Are
worth the $800,000.
Correct. I explain to them why you are a good candidate for their bucket, for their box, right? And so there's going to be work done up front between me and you in terms of what documents we have, what do they look like, how are we painting your picture. And a lot of that work is done by me and my processing team. You don't even get to see that. We just do it on our end, and we'll ask you for documents. And once we hand that file into an underwriter, the underwriter typically takes 48 hours, 24 to 48 hours, and you're approved at that point. So that's kind of the easy part in most cases. Then comes the next process, which is dependent on, are you ready for the next step in this process, which is order the appraisal. It's going to be something that you have to pay out of pocket to hire the appraiser that validates the value of the sales contract. So if the sales contract is for $800,000 house, the appraiser goes out and looks at the house and says, yes, it's worth $800,000.
The appraiser is essentially the bank buyer.
Correct.
Like I'm representing you,
Right.
and I
As a
represent
buyer.
the consumer buyer.
Mm-hmm.
The appraiser is the bank buyer.
Correct. The bank, again, it's another investigator for the bank to make sure that they're not making a mistake, right? And so, you know, this process will be going on my side alongside with Bess's process, which is order the inspection, right?
Go through the
Order all the
inspection.
inspections necessary, including maybe a pool inspection if there's a pool, for example. And then ordering title will happen simultaneously, ordering the title documents which clarify that the current owner has a clean title to the property, meaning
Has the right to sell.
has the right to sell. And then they also order a survey in a lot of cases, unless the seller has a survey that we can reuse. Survey just outlines the property, right? It just
Well, it's like
outlines the
legal
boundary
proof
lines.
that these are the boundaries
Right. And the house
that you're purchasing.
is
And this is the
sitting
house that's
correctly.
on those boundaries.
Right. Just verifies everything again. It's another layer of investigation that has to happen. What else are we missing?
As far as what's going on in the
Yeah,
background.
once you're under contract.
Oh, insurance.
Insurance,
While that's
big
going
piece.
on, especially in this day and age, we now, my dear buyers, you will be submitting that address to your preferred insurance provider. Again, I recommend No Surprise, an independent agent, just because they are beholden to no one except for you.
Yes, correct.
And figuring out what full coverage on this new home is going to cost, because insurance, by the way, is part of your total mortgage payment.
Your house
so
payment.
Mark needs to be aware too, as part of setting you up for success, getting that cash for you from that lender. He needs to be aware of what your annual premium divided by 12 is going to look like.
Correct. And on sidebar on the insurance coverages, please work with somebody who's willing to explain to you different coverages and what they mean.
There's a huge difference.
There's a very big
And the
difference.
difference is becoming like chasms of differences.
And it's penny wise and pound foolish not to have enough insurance. Insurance is always a waste of money until you need it. And so
like four-wheel drive.
yes.
love my Jeep,
And
though.
you know, when you need insurance, you're going to be very happy you have it.
Yes.
And when you have the right coverages, and you can have a Walmart policy or you can have a Neiman Marcus policy. It's up to you. And above that, you can have a Louis Vuitton policy if you
Yeah,
wanted to,
keep
right?
going.
But
Yeah.
there's a balance there between
Mm-hmm.
cost and need and what's really required. The number one mistake I see is the amount of coverage to rebuild the house if it burned down today is many times way underestimated. And I see the policies when they come in because I look at them before I send them to the lender, and it strikes me how often buyers make that mistake of undervaluing how much it would cost
Or
to
not
rebuild it.
fire, tornado.
Right. Whatever
Hurricane.
the
Yeah.
cause doesn't matter. If you don't have enough money to rebuild the house from the insurance company, what are you going to do?
Because you'll still owe to the lender.
You're still going to owe the mortgage.
$800,000
Guess what?
does not
Yes.
go away even if the house is washed away.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So the other thing I see is, you know, if you're anywhere near a body of water, look into flood insurance, please.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that expensive. It really isn't.
And he points that out because flood insurance, and this is not covered on the internet because it's just not sexy to talk
No,
about, but
it's
flood
not.
insurance, unless it makes a headline, is mandatory for some areas if they're a floodplain, but it's optional. It's available to everyone, whether you're in a floodplain or not. It's just that it's not optional if you are in a floodplain.
The lender will require you to have flood insurance if deemed necessary, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't have it to begin with. If you're anywhere near a creek, if you're anywhere near a lake, please think about it. It's nominal fee to pay for it, and it will save your you know what. So what else are we missing? So we're under contract. We have all the gears are going. All the machine is moving forward. What are we doing? Are we missing anything?
We're reminding you to stay under the rock. I like to say to stay under the rock.
Yes.
We're reminding you, yes, when we're at the house and you can open up your Pinterest page and start designing that living room and everything else, we are not buying anything. We are not buying anything.
Especially not
wedding is
with
coming
credit.
up. Give a big hug and kiss to that June bride. Tell them you love her, mean it. You're not buying her anything until you have keys in your hand.
Yes.
Keys in your hand.
And don't open new lines of credit.
No,
don't buy another car.
Nothing. You want to be as financially boring
Yes.
as possible.
Yes.
Until Mark calls you up and says that magical thing, CTC. What is a CTC, Mark?
Clear to close. And I'll go a step further until you sign the documents and the money has changed hands.
Well, yes.
Because I've had one where they showed up in a brand new Porsche at closing and the lender found out and the deal was off. And by the way, don't make job changes. Don't quit your job thinking, oh, it'll take effect after closing. Oh, no. Lenders, the week of closing, will double check your credit and they will check that you're still employed. And they will call them and get verification, and you better believe the employer will say
word again. It's certainty.
Certainty.
The lender wants certainty too.
And nobody's going to lie for you. Nobody's going to say, "Oh, yeah, we'll just sweep that under the rug until after closing." Right. No.
In fact,
that's
they
mortgage
are trying
fraud.
to catch you in a lie at the closing table. You actually have to. How many?
There's
on 5 different documents now.
3
you
to
have
5
to sign
depends on the lender.
That say I'm not lying.
And I'm still employed.
In all different ways.
I'm still employed. I haven't opened any other credit.
So
there's
no certainty. So anyway. as much certainty as you can share with everybody.
Make no changes in your life until after
inexpensive way
closing.
to pay yourself in thousands of dollars of ways. And
but
that is,
all right. So what can go wrong on that subject?
So no washer and dryer buying, no sofa buying.
I'm going to our favorite part of the podcast, seeing crazy things.
Oh,
what are we looking at today?
That you're going to fix after you have the keys.
Yes,
if you see.
crazy things that we see in real estate.
Oh my gosh, yes.
What are we looking at?
So I love
out
this.
Of order.
Out of order, and then they put down here,
do not use. Because
and then the deck
people
tape.
Are stupid enough to use it.
Right now, fun fact: if Bess was to be doing this, would you not agree with me? The duct tape seems like it should go from the lid, like around the bowl.
Yeah.
The duct tape only holds the paper. So they want the paper to stay on the top of the lid no matter what. Does not preclude you from not picking up the lid and just doing whatever anyway.
Right.
And real quick, and I love it. And by the way, if you do something anyway, they want to make sure they can catch you because they won't let you flush it.
The handle is also,
Oh my gosh. There's so much ridiculousness in this. You like the electrical tape.
Why didn't they just disconnect the water hose? That way it would not work at all. In terms of the handle.
Broken lid up there on the top. It's bananas.
It's crazy things.
Bananas. Same house. This is a stack that is connected to a furnace. And what you're seeing right there, those are the that's the carbon monoxide stack that is supposed to be shoving carbon monoxide out of the house. And
it's called the silent killer because you can't smell it.
It's a little short on that right now. On the right there, by the way, you see a little black.
Yes.
That might be some stuff that we want to. It's a 4-letter word in real estate.
Oh
we can't
my.
So
this
obviously
looks like
that
a
system
disaster.
is tired. This is an as-is sale.
Oh my.
Yeah. We'll talk about costs on a different time.
You're gonna need some extra money to really remediate all that. That's there's a lot going on in that picture.
Which, real quick, before we close out, there is such a thing as a remodeling loan, right?
There is. So you can, as a part of your home buying process, you can roll in your remodeling cost into your mortgage.
Yeah. So those two things, something to be aware of, are not necessarily a no outright in the buying process.
Correct.
But
you just need to know up front.
We've made it all the way. Speaking of buying process, in this episode 5, we made it all the way.
Part 5 of this home buying.
Clear to
close. Are we going to do a 6th one?
Should we do a 6? I mean, make comment below. Should we do the 6?
I think we may need to do a 6th on the closing day, like do's and don'ts on closing day. What happens on closing day? What happens to actually get the keys?
And then maybe the don'ts on closing day.
Right.
That's right.
Let's do that. So that'll stay tuned. That'll be number 6.
I love it.
Like and subscribe down below. Follow us on Instagram, wherever.
As we share with you the real keys and the real gears behind getting your keys.
Yes. There you go.
I think we have to stick with that.
Maybe that's a good closing. I like it.
Okay. Love you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.